Hi, everyone. This is Mike with another edition, actually, episode 26 of Getting Everyone Moving by Palms at Pines Parasports. Today, we have Craig McClellan of U.S. Power Hockey. Hey, Craig.
Hey, how are you?
Good, doing all right. So let's get started here. So, how did you become affiliated with Power Hockey?
Oh man, that was many years ago. A group of us, at least in Minnesota, group of us friends that all met at a summer camp. We're kind of playing sort of the very initial version at summer camp each year, and honestly, we just started looking for others outside of camp back in the late '80s, early '90s, and this is before Google, and it's hard to track down info. You kind of had to send a letter, and maybe 3 months later you get an answer from some organization somewhere. We just started, you know, finding bits and pieces here and there. Unfortunately, the first one was way over in Europe, where we learned there was a fairly organized league with some of the European countries, and so we started talking to them, and that was actually our first trip back in '93, I think. Where just again 5, 6 friends, but then from there we kind of connected up with the Canadian Electric. It was called Canadian Electric Wheelchair Hockey Association um, at the time, and so we started doing some trips to Toronto and Calgary and road tripping kind of every other summer to play some events in whatever Canadian town they were gonna do it, and so we just kind of started doing that, and it slowly just kind of turned into finding a few others, around the U.S., like in Philadelphia, Michigan. There was a group in North Carolina for a while. So yeah, obviously became a bit more organized into the 2000s,
Are
and we're
you
still.
you obviously you play, right? Uh,
Uh, I did. I play. I still play a little bit. Maybe not as competitive.
And I mean, you use a power chair for mobility.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, kind of, pretty much power chair users. Once in a while there'll be kind of maybe somebody that primarily uses a manual chair, but the power chair helps them at least compete. So if they were a manual chair user, they probably didn't have the strength of like a wheelchair basketball player or something like that. It's just the power chair would definitely help them. Um, so
Is there is there a classification system like in wheelchair
yeah,
basketball? There,
yep. Kind of. From what I've heard, it's a little bit opposite of some of the other sports, and we are trying to streamline that and get it to make a little more sense. But yeah, we kind of had a 3-point system where a level one would be somebody who had pretty good strength and can hold the stick, hit the ball pretty well, pass the ball with one hand pretty well. Then you have your kind of your medium twos, and then your lower threes would be people like myself. I kind of tape or attach the stick to my wheelchair, and then it also, you kind of put a peg through the hockey stick, and it creates a little bit of a T, and so you can kind of control the ball and move it in the direction you want to move it. So then those would be another level. So then you kind of have to have a specific of each level playing on the floor.
and what kind of field do you play on? Is it a parking lot or tennis court? Or,
Pretty much a basketball court, but any flat, it doesn't have to be a basketball court, but that's probably the most common is a basketball court indoors. We have done a little bit outdoors as long as it's smooth and things like that. Outdoors can be a little tricky if it's the weather, the wind. The wind will kind of control we use kind of a wiffle ball. So those things kind of get taken by the wind pretty easy.
And so, okay, so you use, I know in power soccer, I mean, the ball is pretty big, but in
Yeah.
this, it's just a wiffle ball then?
Yep. Standard wiffle ball, about the same size as a baseball. So, just kind of, kind of has the flow of a puck on ice just because it kind of keeps on moving, for the most part. So, kind of, has that nice hockey flow to it.
And so can anyone play? I mean, is it an inclusive sport? Do you have to use a power chair or?
Um, you know, obviously, it's, some of the leagues just start up, do a little bit of a combo, power chair, manual chair. Even us here in Minnesota, we might go back to that just because some of our numbers have been dropping a little bit, just for various reasons. Maybe all us old veterans that started it don't play as often or as competitive. And it can be a struggle kind of finding people who can play it. Just, it does take a little bit of a eye-hand coordination, type thing. To be able to move the ball efficiently and just kind of do the things you need to do.
How many people are on each team?
Well, playing is 5 on 5. So goalie usually one defender, three forwards. So then it just depends on, when we're just doing a local league, we probably put 7 or 8 on a team. If we're traveling to a competitive tournament, it's probably 11 to 12 players.
Okay. So do you play other sports as well?
Uh, I don't know. I didn't really in kind of my 20s. There was pretty much power hockey. However, Minnesota is actually really not a whole lot of people know about it, but Minnesota has an incredible high school adapted sports league that's sanctioned by the high school league, and you have paid coaches and referees, and it's all super legit. And so I grew up middle school, high school, playing the three sports that that are in that league, which is sort of an indoor soccer. It's not just wheelchair. It was super inclusive. People who could walk and wheelchairs, and so it'd be kind of they do an indoor soccer. They did a floor hockey in the winter, and in the spring was an adapted indoor softball. So I did play that for a number of years, and it was kind of a big influence of, at least for me, wanting something after high school, and there just really wasn't anything, especially for a power chair user
Yeah.
back then. Power soccer did not exist. Obviously, I couldn't do basketball
Yeah.
or any of the other Paralympic sports, and so that's how hockey kind of was a thing.
So I mean, you've accomplished a lot, I mean, in your life, So when you were younger, I mean, who provided support to you? And I mean, did you feel that, okay, I can't do this? Or were you always like, okay, I'm going to try and do?
Definitely, family was always, a big push to do anything, never holding back. I'll have to say that that high school league that I just talked about, the coach that got me involved with that, or he was very, some people sort of were a little in shock and awe because he pushed you. He did not, he knew everybody's disability. There was a variety. He was also kind of our adapted FIED, at least in the area, person who taught adapted FIED through a number of the schools. And then he brought everybody together for the at least our team, our area, that participated in the state high school thing. And he was, probably one of the biggest influence because he always pushed. Like if he knew you weren't trying, he wasn't going to be nice about it. He was like, you do your job. I don't care what, I
Yeah.
don't care if he's disabled or not.
Yeah.
He pushed. And that kind of, I think, lit a fire under a lot of us in that on that team back then. Because yeah, growing up, you don't get a whole lot of that in the school system.
Yeah.
A lot of it is, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. So
Mm.
we're going to put you in this area rather than that area because, it's not going to work. But yeah, he was gung ho to, you did not make up excuses.
So does that's how I kind of coach too. That's my philosophy.
Okay.
I don't care. I see you as an athlete. Get out there and do to the best of your ability. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For me, for sure. I see how some people maybe shy away from that a little bit or kind of shock and awe to them if they get that. But yeah, I think it's super important just to be pushed a little bit. Um, and just kind of know that you can't just take advantage and not give full effort.
Yeah. So you obviously you're very involved with the whole power hockey, trying to promote that more. What else
Yep.
do you do with your time, Craig?
Um, yeah, I actually, kind of about 15 years ago helped a friend who was kind of involved as a volunteer in the power hockey start up kind of a home care type business. So I work for him a bit, and it's just kind of a fun kind of offshoot of power hockey almost because a lot of the people we work with are from the league and everything. So we're kind of help a little bit out in the home care aspect of people we know and we're friends with. So we don't really call them clients, just they're friends of ours, and kind of do whatever we can to help that part of life.
How you've lived with you've used a power chair your whole life. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, how do you feel that the US is, very accessible? I mean, are there areas for improvement? How do we bring about more inclusion in this society?
Yeah. I mean, that's obviously a tough thing. I mean, I don't notice a ton of horrible areas. I mean, I've traveled a bit with caregivers, and yeah, of course, it's a struggle. You're not going to always come across the best hotels and situations like that, or depending on where you're visiting, you know, might not be the greatest. Yeah, I'm not, I don't complain a whole lot. I just like kind of finding new adventures and everything. But of course, there can be improvements. The airlines being a big one. It's so hard to fly, especially power chairs.
Yeah.
I can see wanting to do it a bit more risky or risking it with the manual chair might be easier, but power chairs always seem to get beaten up and
Yeah.
horror stories of airline travel. But in Minneapolis, it's a pretty decent, system if we could just get rid of winter. Uh, Other than that, I can't complain too much. If we could just get rid of winter, that would be a big problem solver. Um, so just yeah, the ability to kind of go where you want to go because of caregivers, things like that. Obviously, there's no easy answer for that because, it's not like there can be a perfect system for that where your caregivers can just take off and go with you to a warmer state for 3 months of the year or something, which is something I would totally do, but, can't really do it when, it's in the present situation.
Yeah, that's right. Well, move to California, man. We're here.
Yep, yep. What area are you in again?
I'm in Coachella Valley, Palm Springs area.
Oh, nice. I've been there.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, it's
cool.
nice. It's nice, but it's too hot during the summer.
Yeah, I was there in probably 6 years ago in July. So it was like 110, I
Yeah,
think.
no, you know what I mean.
Eh,
But
eh.
how do we, Craig? How do you think? I mean, how do we create more awareness? And create a more inclusive society? What are some of the things that you would do?
Some of the things I would do, oh, that's a tough question. It's a good question because try to open it up to anything, but um, I think, I don't know how impossible it would be to, have the caregiving system be a little bit more flexible to, go from state to state or something. Um, Obviously, some public transportation, airplanes being, I think, the number one. Because I haven't noticed too many bad things about, buses and some trains. I mean, unfortunately, trains are just a bit inconvenient. You know, so just inclusive is just a lot of accessibility issues. But again, I roll with the punches and try and give my business or my where I want to stay to somewhere I know that makes the effort to be inclusive,
Yeah,
rather than if 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 I know a place doesn't have a good reputation, not gonna really go to that area.
yeah. So what do you say? It's 15, 20 years down the road. Um, what more do you want to accomplish? In your life, what do you hope to be able to look back on?
Hopefully just keep helping power hockey grow and being a part of anything we can improve improve the daily life of kind of your average disabled individual. Just yeah, I'm involved in, like I said, at home care, and yeah, we have a lot of issues, in our state. I don't know all the details of other states, and how that runs, but yeah, there's definitely the caregivers are not paid well because of the state's system. Um, I think there's problems just too with, it's not just pay, it's just the way society is too. Nowadays, different from 20 years ago
Yeah,
when it's a fast lifestyle with so many jobs that what I call like Uber jobs and DoorDash where you don't have to have any commitment. So it's terribly hard finding kind of that younger kind of college age generation to do a caregiving type job, which was kind of always one of the key groups that we would always be looking for. And now, like, nobody has cars anymore. They're kind of dumb if they live on a campus and have a car because why have that expense? But yet, disabled people aren't living on campus, unless they're students. But it's hard to even hire people. And so, yeah, we're trying to, a few groups in Minnesota are trying to work with that and, create that. So I would love to see some kind of a national system of kind of creating a job pool of caregivers where, we're almost, I mean, it's maybe not the best example, but the same way a lot of people go to the armed forces is to get on a GI Bill to go to, college for free. And yeah, they get paid in the armed forces too. Probably not great. I don't know what the pay is, but they're doing it for that. A lot of them are doing it for GI Bill, but for caregivers, whether it's home care or even elderly care in nursing homes, there's nothing like no real reward other than a job where they get very little training and all right, here we'll pay you 13, $14 an hour and good luck going to school with that
yeah,
because that's not going to pay for anything.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point.
Yeah, so it'd be great if there was some sort of national attention to
Okay.
that issue, I think, and just kind of help create that pool of, hey, if you are in the caregiving world, whether it be disabled, elderly, something, now you're part of a kind of a national program where you're going to get some kind of credit or school deferment loans or whatever the case may be, or even health coverage, just because that's a key nowadays where it's so hard to obtain health coverage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that's very good. Out of all the interviews I've done so far, no one's really talked about that. So
okay.
yeah, very good. Good. So we're coming towards the end of our interview. Are there any final words that you'd like to leave our audience with, in terms of people, with disability and capabilities, be able to do whatever things you want to say to the able-bodied community?
Oh yeah, I mean, just for the disabled community is, obviously be active, and the more active you are, I think the more mentally healthy you're going to be, and know that there's others out there kind of in the same situations, or kind of reach out, whether it be on Facebook or some social media platform. Too many of them to mention, but there's definitely groups out there that can. There's more power in numbers rather than trying to do it on your own. So if you happen to not be active, definitely reach out and try and get part of something, whether it be sports or art or whatever. Just be a part of a group. Um, and everybody, I think just the message is, obviously the more inclusive everybody can be, the better life is for everybody.
Right. Thank you so much, Craig.
Yeah.